know we're shit.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching the Daily Drift. Welcome back, Drifters. So today, we're going to work on knocking out this list. We got a lot of it done in the last video, but today we're just going to work on getting as much of this done as we can. Because I really just want to drive this thing at this point. Since we ain't drifting, let's get out there and drive it. I know what you're thinking. Hey Kyle, you guys were talking about going drifting and you didn't make it. Where's the drift video? Well, good news. There's another event this Sunday. Well, it's Saturday, Sunday. It's Lone Star Round 3. So we got a week to do what we were going to do in a night. So, let's see if we can do it. Alright, so if you look in here, you can see all the nice hard work Austin was doing the other night. It looks like it's a mess, but it's not. It's really organized. We got it all nice and tied up. All the sensors go where they go. We got fresh hoses on literally everything. New vacuum lines, coolant hoses. Ignore this because they're not paying me. I basically made a custom hose kit for my power steering because I was sick and tired of the leaks. So here's the power steering setup I came up with. I basically copied the one that the Chase Bays uses, but I made my own lines because I wanted to make sure they were the right lines. So I did. So if you're looking here, this is the high pressure line from the pump, and it goes out there to the top of the rack. So you got the one that goes on the bottom of the rack, which goes to the reservoir, and then you have this big fat 10 AN that runs into the return on the pump. Basically just going to go down here and then it gets hose clamped on there because it's got a barb fitting. If you got an M3, you can actually screw it in there, but mine's not an M. So, and obviously I used the Chase Bays reservoir because, well, every other one I found out there was just as expensive, but it wasn't baffled. This one's baffled, so I'm really happy with the price point. Even though they were going to charge $300 to do their kit, I was able to get the reservoir for like $100. So, you know, we got a nice reservoir, and I made my own custom lines, and they match the car. So, I'm really happy with that. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make my own lid, so that way I could put, like, the Daily Drift or something like that on there, because I don't like repping other people's brands if they're not paying me. So, you know, it's just like one of those things. It's like, you know, if somebody's not going to pay you to put their name on it, am I just going to give them free branding and advertising? Not really. I mean, I kind of am, because I'm telling you guys, but it's just because I want to be honest. I want you to know that's where the reservoir came from, but from now on, it's going to say the Daily Drift or something else on it. I don't know yet. We'll see. So anyway, back to it. Also managed to get the steering arm hooked up. It's all nice and neat. Got all these pipes going in here. We got new seals on the water pipe here, new seals on everything here. I made this custom Vanos line out of the same stainless steel. It's high pressure line, so it can withstand all the oil pressure and all that good jazz. So hopefully no leaks there anymore. The other thing, throttle body hookup, fuel injectors, fuel injectors, little clip for the fuel injectors. Keep calling them injectors. So we got everything nice and tidy. We got to hook up the lines for the AC still. That's pretty easy. And then we'll just work on getting the front clip because everything else is pretty much buttoned up. A lot of this stuff's good. Austin did all this the other night, so kudos to him. So here's the list and what's left. So I guess we'll get started on the front clip. One other thing I was going to mention is the intake. We completely cleaned it out, made sure there was no gunk in there. But we're going to be deleting this in the future episode, and we're going to put an actual catch can instead. So we're just going to completely delete this crap so we won't have that problem anymore. We're still going to have our ICV because, well, we're still running the stock computer, but we're going to get rid of this thing if we can. The other big problem that I ran into is this exhaust. It just was not lining up right. It wouldn't fit right. I had to cut it. I had to make a new slip joint. I ended up spending probably easily another 6 hours just working on this exhaust to get it right. And now I finally got it in place to where I've got a little slip joint, I got some play, and all I need to do is have somebody basically hold this in position. I can weld it up, and it should be perfect. But it just took way too much time. So hindsight being 2020, I probably shouldn't have even messed with the exhaust. But you live and you learn. So let's get to it.
The back and forth has got me so messed up. Don't ignore the signs. We've had enough of the whole damn thing that we got going. You hold the strings without me knowing. Why do I have to suffer through the thinking? Why do I have the feeling that we're sinking?
So for some reason, for the life of me, I couldn't figure out how these wires went, and there's these little clips under here where they go, and they run along inside here. Okay, so you can see the clips, they run along inside there, and that's what holds it up. So they all go behind this thing, and then it runs up here and dangles, and then these things hook up over on that side. Pretty simple, so I'm going to slap all this back together. Putting things back together is way harder than it is taking it apart, I'll tell you that much. So I was putting the front clip back on, and I realized, oh shit, I got it all together, and I need to put hood latches on here, because what's the point of having a hood if you can't latch it? Yeah, it was a little bit of an oopsie. So I got it most of the way together. The only thing is I'm missing some screws that go to the back. Normally I put them right back where they go, but I wasn't the only one doing this when we took it apart, so I gotta kind of try to find out where those parts went. I don't know, especially because since we've been building the car, there's pieces everywhere. So I'm gonna look for those screws and then see if I can continue putting this thing together. But I'm really happy because it's actually starting to look like a car again. Thank God. So I managed to find a little baggie, and it says left side and with the hatch, and I managed to find 2 of them, but the other 2 I couldn't find. But I managed to find a screw that's very, very close, and I think it's gonna work, because this is the regular one, and then this is the one that's different. So we're just gonna put them in there. They're just screws. It's really just to hold it in place. It's not like it's anything really important. It's just for looks anyway. So, you know, this is what really holds up the bumper anyway. So we're not too worried about it. So we're just gonna zip them on there and keep moving forward. All right, so now what we gotta do is we gotta swap some of the parts from our old bumper to the new bumper, because it's an M3 bumper, and you know, it's fake, but I think it looks better than what the stock one did. So we're just gonna swap it out. You know, you'd think that doing a bumper would be a little bit easier, but you know, they got those little baby plastic pieces that just don't want to come out, and then you're using the screwdriver. Next thing you know, you break like 3 or 4 of them. Yeah, well, eventually we got it on there, so it's all good. The next day. So today was one of those days where I was just needing to get work done, and I didn't do much filming. So yeah, we were basically just putting the intake back on, making the fuel connections, connecting a bunch of little wires and a bunch of boring shit. So I figured I'd speed it up for you here real quick, and yeah. So yeah, we'll just move on to the next thing, which is where I screwed something up. Day 2. So today I'm working on getting this thing started finally. The W has been kind of a pain in my ass lately. A lot of the stuff that I've been working on is not really interesting to film, so really got to find a way to make these days more valuable to you guys and to me, so that way I can actually have more content for you. But I also don't want to just put out a bunch of content of me doing really boring stuff, because nobody wants to see that, right? So anyway, where we're at now, all we got to do is we got to put the coils in. We've already got everything hooked up. As you can see, our list is getting smaller and smaller. Radiator's hooked up. We got the fan put on. Hoses are all tied down. One cool thing I got to do was I got to delete the ASC, and it was kind of a pretty easy process. Luckily, I happen to have one of these elbows, and it's from a Z3, I believe. Anyway, it's a 90 degree, so normally you have the ASC here, you'd have like a 45 degree. So I basically just deleted that. I flung the harness and stuff out this way. I'm going to tighten all that up. But yeah, so this is going to be really nice, so I won't have to worry about accidentally having traction control on, which I did multiple times before. Check this clip. So yeah, so basically all we got left, everything's pretty much buttoned up. We got all the hoses connected. I got to fill up the reservoir. I got to fill up the radiator. I got to fill up the engine with oil. We got to put in the coil packs. And I got to fix this wiring for these headlights. So the guy that had this before, he had this all tangled up. And a lot of these wires are really brittle. You can see here where it's tearing apart. And I'm pretty sure this may be part of the short that we had. Here's the one that I know was really, really bad. So that was definitely causing a short. So that's something I'm going to have to fix. So I'm just going to basically repair all these. Also, I went down here and I made these joints to the cooling fan, because before they just crimped it shut, so you had to cut it to remove it. So now I got these nice little slip joints, so it's real easy to pull off. Next time I have to take the front end off, and then I'm just going to tidy that up. Over here we got all the AC stuff hooked up. I put new O-rings on all of them, so that's all good to go. We got this hooked up, no longer broken fan shroud. It's all nice and new now. We're reusing our radiator because it was recently replaced and it's all aluminum, so why not? And yeah, our to-do list is a lot smaller than it used to be, so I'm just going to work on finishing this up, and then hopefully here pretty soon we'll be able to work on flushing the radiator and just getting some oil flow going, and just make sure we don't have any leaks before we actually start the thing, because you guys know I hate leaks. So basically I'm just going to cut out the cancer essentially, and we're going to put in a new set of wires right through there just to protect them. Just going to solder them, heat shrink them, and they should be good. And then we'll cut that. You can see where the bad stuff was. Now we got these things separated. What I'm going to do is I need to make a good joint before I actually go to solder this. There's different techniques for doing this. You can literally just tie it together, but you want the bond to be pretty tight. You want it to be a pretty solid connection, because you don't want just the solder to hold it together. We'll make sure it gets all the way in there. Don't inhale any of this stuff because it's very toxic. I'm not planning on having kids, so luckily this ain't gonna mess with me too much. But if you are, it might mess with you. There we go. We'll let that cool a little bit, and then what I'm gonna do is put the heat wrap over it. Now you can see kind of what it looks like. It's not bad. Solid connection. I might have to get a little bit on the back side here. Now what you don't want to do is be a dingus like me and forget to put on the heat shrink, so be sure to put that on. Just don't get it too close to where the heat is, because it'll shrink before it actually gets a chance to go over it. But before we seal it completely, I'm going to put it on there so that way we can slide it over both sides. Because once it's soldered, you're not going to be able to get the heat shrink on. So, pro tip. I'm just going to take my heat gun and just get this thing to shrink up. It's literally like Shrinky Dinks, but for cars. And there you have it. That's one repaired wire. Now I'm just going to do this like 500 more times and finish out the rest of these harnesses. So, then we'll continue from there. I gotta be careful, I'm gonna burn myself. Good thing I'm wearing jeans. Alright, so I got all these things tidied up real well. Got a nice little surprise. Got some nice fog lights on Amazon. I needed some new ones because mine were broken. The one that was in the corner was busted. So I figured if I'm buying headlights or fog lights, I may as well just upgrade anyway. Because the actual frame on those were broken. So this, we got a whole new frame and everything. It's pretty easy. All we gotta do is pop it out, and then I'm gonna mount these brackets inside the new bumper. It's pretty straightforward. I think it's like 4 bolts and we should be good. So, let's do it.
What's all this for? It's got me turned around, but I can't ignore the feelings that I found.
I don't know why something so simple always seems to take me forever. I was looking all over to try to find a screw that fit in there. Couldn't find anything, and I don't know why I didn't even think of it, but a zip tie. I literally just zip tied it and it's fine. My brain's not working too well. I think I need to eat and I need to go to the gym, but at least we got it in here. I think it looks pretty good. Definitely makes the bumper pop. I mean, we're going to get it painted to match like somewhat close to the silver. It's kind of hard to do, but we're just going to have it be like a 20-footer. I mean, it is a drift car, so it's not going to be perfect, but it'll at least be nice from 20 feet. I think the only thing that's really left is just doing the lights and putting all the fluids in the car. Outside of that, I think it's pretty close. It's pretty close. Stay tuned, because in the next episode, we're going to be putting an oil catch can on the Dubya. Hopefully it goes nice and easy.